college, I really wasn't looking past my associates because I just thought my parents are already working really hard, I'm working really hard, and I couldn't see myself continuing my education past that. But with Phi Theta Kappa, they just saw that potential in me and made me see it myself. And not just that, but like I didn't think I could ever get a scholarship, but they proved me wrong, and it's just been such a great help. And again, like I know that if I want to continue having the success and enjoying it, I really need to share with everybody else, because I would love to see the other kid that's going into community college thinking I'm probably not going to get that far, to just have a chance and find the potential that he has in him or her, and just really go as far as we want. I don't plan on stopping until my master's now. I didn't think I was going to make it past my community college days, but now just the sky's the limit.
How's it going, everybody? This is Tito Caballero. Hope you're all having another great day, and welcome back to another video. So, as it was known before, during the early days of my YouTube channel, I have been traveling around quite a bit when I was a kid. I lived in multiple towns, and I made quite a few friends along the way, but there was one friend that I made in particular that really made me happy to be with. That guy's name was Tito Caballero. He was a guy that I attended Union County College with from 2016 to 2018, but only got to know him in 2018. But he was a member of the Phi Theta Kappa ILSI chapter that I mentioned to you guys that I was a part of, and we had a very special relationship with each other. But unfortunately, it ended in the most tragic of ways. And to this day, 2 years later, it's hard for me to be able to get past, because it was only just recently, and we're actually approaching the 2-year anniversary of that now. Today, I'm going to be talking about my relationship with my friend Tito Caballero and all the events that I got to do with him, as well as, unfortunately, the events that have happened since the death of my friend Tito Caballero. So when I was first going to Union County College, one of the things that I was still struggling with at the time was continuing to make friends that I can build relationships with past college. At the time I wasn't very social, and I think I've mentioned that quite a few amount of times. I've not been very social a whole lot, and unfortunately, during that time I was still struggling with that. Ultimately, when I got my big break to join the ILSI chapter of Phi Theta Kappa, Tito was one of the very first ones that I actually got to meet, and he welcomed me with open arms along with many of the other officers and members of the chapter. And right away, the moment I first met with him, there was something between me and him that could really work out. So during the induction ceremony, obviously he was with me for a little bit. He asked if I was doing okay, and from there, once I joined the officer team, that was when our relationship started to build. The both of us were getting along with each other very well, and I was a part of the communications department, which he was actually the former VP of, before I had jumped in there. So he was able to actually give me quite a bit of expertise on being able to run the communications department as a then CL, and then obviously in the fall semester as a VP. He was actually the leader of the Middle States region, which New Jersey was a part of at the time. So that was very special for Union County College, because obviously he was representing not just them, but all the states that were a part of the Middle States region. And yeah, he gave me quite a bit of expertise. He was there to help me out, and even while I was working alongside him at the Academic Learning Center, where I was briefly a tutor at, both of us got along very well. And from there, it was pretty clear that both of us had a very special friendship. Tito Caballero, in my opinion, was probably one of the best friends that I had ever made, because he actually was one of the funniest guys that I have ever met. He was always happy, he was always bubbly, and he also makes quite a bit of amount of jokes as well. There's quite a few that he made that made me laugh, and he was just a very bubbly personality and all that. And I got to know him a lot more because of all the other members that I was a part of the officer team with. And, Tito, just like the rest of them, he was there to help him out, gave them a few laughs as well, and it was just a very fun time with me and Tito and along the other officers. And Tito Caballero was really one of the best friends I ever made because of that. So obviously, as I mentioned him quite a bit during the PTK videos when I was doing the IOSI chapter weekly update videos, because he was one of the leaders of the chapter overall. And that's exactly one of the things that I consider him as well. He was a leader as well because, he helped with making sure everybody was doing okay, getting the chapter in the right direction. He was just a very good guy. He was always there for all of us, and everything was going okay with him. So during the final months of my time at Union County College, I was preparing to give Tito the role of VP of Communications back. I wanted to give him another opportunity to lead the department as I was graduating and going to Kane, and he was actually going to stay at UCC for one more semester. On the morning of December 13th, he was actually doing really well. He was actually in a relationship with one of my other friends. In fact, he was actually a part of a party that we were doing to celebrate the end of the semester, or the IOSI chapter, which was really fun as well. Later that night, when I was walking out my last class for the day, when I was walking past the IOSI office, which is where I used to do quite a few of my weekly update videos during the fall semester, some of these staffers were actually there next to the room, and that was the first time that I was wondering what was going on. I really don't remember what they were talking about, what they were doing. I don't know. I mean, at the time, I didn't know what was really going on. And then later that night, on a message that I got from one of my fellow members of the IOSI chapter, they were telling us that we were going to get an email about what happened to one of the members of our chapter. They basically told us to check the email because it wouldn't be appropriate to share it with us here. And I asked them why, and all they told me was to check the email. So I was rather uncomfortable that night because I really don't know what was going on. And I had no idea at the time what was happening there. Could it have been Tito? I don't know. It could have been anybody else, but it was rather scary times. So I was sleeping rather uncomfortably that night. And then the next morning, I saw the email and I found out that Tito, as you had mentioned during my last IOSI video, which I made in December of 2018, we found out that he had died from an aneurysm the night before. I really don't know what happened, but all that they said was that he was found unresponsive in our IOSI office and he just passed away. And that really hit me. I had no idea that really happened that fast. I mean, he was doing fine. I didn't see any real health issues with him. He was just doing perfectly okay. That was just a very tough situation, and I just couldn't believe it. Personally, I had lost one of my best friends, and I had to spend the whole day, just trying to hold my emotions together with all the other members of the IOSI chapter. Throughout the rest of the weekend, I was just doing my best to hold my emotions. I mean, I didn't cry. I never showed any tears, but it was just hard for me to compartmentalize everything that was going on at that time. I got to see him one more time at the funeral later that weekend in Linden, which I attended that Sunday. All of our friends, we got to pay our final respects for him, and I also said a few words as well to Tito in his honor. I just wanted to say something, just to show how much I appreciate Tito for everything that he was able to do. And the months following Tito's death, that proved to be really hard because it really affected me mentally. And I think I've already mentioned in one of my past videos about my massive weight gain. One of the reasons how I ended up having that weight gain was because of Tito's death. His death really put a huge effect on me that I ended up constantly eating a little bit too much than I should have just to cheer myself up. And that's how I ended up with that weight gain, where I was at 230 pounds at the time. Obviously, not anymore. I told you that I'm now at 150. I was able to recover from that, but mentally and at least physically for me, Tito's death really put a massive impact on me. And next month will be the 2-year anniversary of Tito's death, and so obviously it's going to be very emotional and it's going to be very hard as well. He was one of my best friends, and I just think that if he was still here or at least watching from heaven, I'm sure he would be very proud of me and all the other members of the IOSI chapter that now either graduated or are about to graduate from their other colleges for what we were able to do to pull ourselves together as a family and then move forward from this. And I'm sure that's something he would be very happy about. But Tito Caballero, you know, he was one of my best friends. He was somebody that I really got to enjoy spending a whole lot of time with. And yeah, you know, it's just hard for me to believe that 2 years later he's gone, all because of a rather unexpected emergency. Here we are 2 years later, and you know, somewhere in my mind I really wish Tito was still here. I'm just happy that I got to spend that time with him, and he was one of my best friends, and I just really wish that that never happened to him. I mean, it was tough to see him go the way he did. But my message to you is that, you know, if you have a whole lot of friends like I do, spend as much time with them as you can and be with them for as long as you can, because death is something that's always going to happen to everybody. You know, it's the only thing that's a guaranteed after our birth. It can happen to us a lot sooner than we think. So, you know, it's always important that we be with our friends for as long as possible. We share as many memories with them as possible and just have a lot of fun with each other, because, you know, at some point death is going to happen to all of us, and, you know, we only live one life. So, and that's something that I wish I really had done a lot more of with Tito, spend a lot more memories with him, because, you know, he was a great friend, and I still miss him to this day. But yeah, spend as much time with them as you can, and ultimately share as many memories with them as possible, and just have a lot of fun with them, because at some point your day will eventually come. Okay, sad story today, but next week it'll be back to an uplifting mood. I actually got a very special video for next week, so stay tuned when it comes to details for that. Either way, that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it and like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when my next video is released. As always, comment below on future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's vlogs, projects, or challenges, you name it. Be sure to put them in the comments. I'm always willing to listen to them. As always, follow me on social media. All the links are in the description below. That's it for today's video. Hope you're having a great day. Spend as much time with your friends as you can. Have a lot of fun with them. And I hope to see you next week for a very special video. So long, everybody.